Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
It's our People unit, and we're going to go back in time. In fact, we're going to go back a couple hundred years and learn about a pirate, but not a guy. This is going to be a female pirate. She's a pirate queen, and she was quite famous and very successful in her days as a pirate.
Indeed, and you may have heard of her, Jungiso. I hope I said that right. She's the the pirate queen of southern China, and she was quite active in the ocean and the seas around southern China, and people feared her. They also respected her, and we'll talk about her history in today's lesson. It's our People unit. It's also our All English unit, so let's dive right in and find out all about this famous person. We'll read today's article from top to bottom right now.
When you think of famous pirates, Jack Sparrow, Luffy from One Piece, or the historical Blackbeard may come to mind first. But one of the most successful and feared pirates of all time was much closer to home. She's known by several names, including Zheng Shi, Shi Yang, and Madame Zheng. But most famously, she's called Jungiso. For a time, she ruled the South China Sea at the head of the massive Guangdong Pirate Confederation. The future pirate commander was born in Guangdong in 1775. She married prominent local pirate Zheng Yi in 1801. And was granted the honorific name Jungiso, meaning Zheng Yi's wife. After the commander of the Confederation's large red flag fleet was killed by Vietnamese forces, Zheng Yi became the fleet's leader. He managed to unite 6 other pirate fleets under him, thanks in no small part to Jungiso, who proved a competent organizer and negotiator. After her husband fell overboard and died in a storm, Jungiso quickly stepped in to take over his command. Already known to be a capable leader, Jungiso was highly respected by each smaller fleet's commander. Under her, the Confederation prospered, comprising 400 ships and around 50,000 pirates at its peak. Her armada dealt crushing defeats to the Guangdong provincial fleet and raided towns along the Pearl River. Even Qing dynasty officials feared her, calling in the Portuguese who governed Macau to defend against her fleets. Formidable though she was, Jungiso couldn't rule the high seas forever, as the Confederation's opponents cut off pirate supply lines. Jungiso's fleets began to fight each other. Sensing future disaster, Jungiso personally went to negotiate with Qing officials in 1810, and she succeeded in getting the entire Confederation pardoned. In contrast to some pirates who suffered violent deaths, Jungiso lived out the rest of her life peacefully, passing away at age 68. Despite being less famous today than many male buccaneers, there's no doubt Jungiso deserves a place among history's greatest pirates.
Okay, everybody, let's talk about the contents of today's lesson. It's our People unit. And the person we're talking about is Jungiso, Pirate Queen of Southern China. We all know what pirates are. Maybe you've seen the Johnny Depp movies, Pirates of the Caribbean. And, of course, those are those guys that wear those black hats and they have a parrot sitting on their shoulder and they've got a patch over their eye and they talk like, "Aye, me hearty, lash that scurvy dog from the yard arm, shiver me timbers," etc., etc. But, of course, that's a stereotype. Pirates basically are people who rob people on the open seas, and they don't necessarily have parrots or wooden legs and talk like that.
Yeah, but they do steal things. That's what a pirate is. He steals things that don't belong to him. And in this case, don't belong to her. She was quite powerful. Now, this particular pirate queen did her business in southern China. So we've got a list of pretty famous pirates at the very beginning. Jack Sparrow, as Tom said, was in Pirates of the Caribbean or Caribbean. You can say it either way. There's Luffy, the character name from One Piece. It's a manga series. Or there's even the historical, and this is a real person, Blackbeard. That's not fiction. Blackbeard. So maybe one of these three come to mind first when you think of pirates. But one of the most successful and feared pirates, people feared her, they were afraid of her, of all time, was much closer to home. So if you're close to home, just means you're right here in your kind of your own backyard. You could write that as well. One of the most feared pirates of all time was right here in our own backyard. We're over here pretty close to southern China. So she's known by lots of different names. Of course, it would depend on the people talking to her, I'm sure, what they would address her as. But we've got a Zhengshi, and then there's a Shi Yang was her original name that she was born with. And then they sometimes would call her Madam Zheng. Use Madam only to address married women. If you're not married, people don't call you Madam.
But most famously, she's called Jungiso, and that's how most people know her. And for a time, she ruled the South China Sea at the head of the massive Guangdong Pirate Confederation. Okay, so of course the South China Sea is the ocean that is directly south of China. And of course, it's kind of controversial about who owns the islands down there. We're not going to get into that now. Yeah, she ruled the South China Sea as a pirate. And she was also the head of the massive Guangdong Pirate Confederation. If something's massive, it's huge, it's really, really big. And so this was a confederation in which lots of people were unionized, or they were united, I should say. And maybe they had different organizations, different groups here and there, but basically they were united. They were a confederation, and it was massive.
Yeah, so we use a confederation to talk about an organization that consists of lots of different smaller groups, and they're united in some purpose. When I see confederation, my mind as an American goes to the Confederate states. When we had civil war in America, the South, they were Confederate soldiers, and then the North, they were the Yankees. So, yeah, Confederation. This was the official name. I'm thinking that that's what they've done. They've just translated what her group of very successful pirates was called. She had a lot of responsibility and power. We're going to talk about how many people she actually was in command of it at one point in her life. So the future pirate commander, and we're talking about the pirate queen, Jungiso, she was born in Guangdong back in 1775. So while America was fighting for our freedom from the British, this particular pirate queen was being born in Guangdong in southern China. She married a prominent local pirate whose name was Zheng Yi in 1801. So she wasn't very old. Was she 20? Does that make her 26? Am I doing the math wrong?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, if you're prominent, guys, it means people know who you are. We often use this adjective prominent to describe politicians or leaders of businesses out there. So if you're prominent, you can be described as being important or famous, well-known. She married a prominent pirate. He was a local guy, a local boy, as we would say in English. If you meet someone who's described as being local, it means you grew up around the same area together. I dated a local guy, and we got married right after college, meaning we were from the same area. So she married a prominent local pirate in 1801. I guess her parents were okay with her marrying a criminal, a thief.
If they knew about his criminal background, but yes, indeed, he was probably from Guangdong as well, which of course is a province in China. And again, prominent here talks about somebody who just kind of sticks out. Like your nose, for example, like a lot of foreigners have prominent noses. They really stick out. So this guy really stuck out. He was very famous. Everybody knew about him. And she married him way back in 1801 and was granted the honorific name Jungiso, meaning Zheng-Yi's wife. So when she married this guy, hey, it was an honor. So she got this special name, which we're describing as an honorific name. And honorific is related to the word honor. And honor, of course, is a special privilege. It's my honor to meet you.
Thank you.
Or this is an honor to have you guys treat me to dinner or something like that. And honorific makes this an adjective. So it's a special name that she was given. And only certain people have this name. So, of course, that's kind of a great title to have. And, of course, when you see her, you need to use this name. And you need to bow down and show her respect and stuff like that.
Who knows? If they're pirates, if you upset them, they might do you in, take care of you, kill you. So, yeah, so she ends up hooking her train, her carriage to this guy who is a local pirate and became Zheng-Yi's wife, Jungiso. So after the commander of the Confederation's large red flag fleet, this was the name of this particular confederation, the Red Flag Fleet. He was killed by Vietnamese forces. So we had some Vietnamese boats on the water, and they went to battle, and they were able to kill the leader of the Confederation. Now, after that, Zheng-Yi became the fleet's leader. So that's how he became the top dog. The top dog is just the boss in charge. A fleet is just something we use to describe a group of different modes of transportation. Usually we're talking about either boats, ships, or cars. I know when I was growing up, we used to listen to advertisements on TV for rental car agencies like Hertz or Avis, and they'd say, we have a beautiful fleet of brand new cars. So you can use it. It's a measure word in essence, but it's also a noun, and it just means a group of ships in this particular circumstance. So that's how her husband became the big dog, was that the leader of his original Red Flag Fleet was killed by the Vietnamese forces, and he became the leader.
But in modern navies, of course, the leader of the fleet would be an admiral.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, they probably had different titles. And yes, the commander of the fleet was killed. What's that?
We use the term admiral for military.
Right.
For military. These are guys they're outlaws. They're people who are stealing. So no.
Right. But they still probably have these titles. There is a commander in the Navy as well. Commander, admiral, captain. I think there are other titles. They're different from the Army. I used to know them, but I wasn't really in the military. But again, a fleet is a group of ships together, and the commander of that Confederation's large red flag fleet was killed by Vietnamese forces, and therefore Zheng-Yi became the fleet's leader, and he managed to unite 6 other pirate fleets under him, thanks in no small part to Jungiso, who proved a competent organizer and negotiator. So yes, indeed, he was the leader of the fleet, but there were 6 other pirate fleets out there who were maybe competing against him or something like that. But he said, hey, we're actually going to unite. We're going to work together, all for one and one for all. And they united, and of course, Jungiso had a part in that, which we'll talk about in just a couple of seconds. But oh, wow, discussing this is so exhausting.
I need a snack.
Yeah, we need to take a break right now, so please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, guys. It's our people unit, and we're talking about a fascinating person or figure in history, Jungiso, who was described as the pirate queen of southern China. This is quite a while ago, but it's so fun to go back in history and learn more about these fascinating characters. So she's a pirate, and she's female. We usually just hear about the tough male pirates like Jack Sparrow. Luffy, if you're into manga, he doesn't look very tough to me, to be honest. I saw his picture, and he looks kind of charming. But Blackbeard was a real character in history. He wasn't a piece of fiction. And he was kind of mean. Yeah, some of these pirates could be quite violent. That's the word I want, violent. I don't know about Jungiso. We don't know how dangerous and violent she was, but she had a lot of power, and I'm sure if you didn't do what she wanted or made her happy, she would take care of you. You would be punished in some way. We know she's got lots of different names that she's been known by. There are reasons for some of these. If you go online and look her up, you can see about some of these names. But she ended up with the name Jungiso when she married a very prominent local pirate, Zheng Yi, in 1801. Remember, she was born in Guangdong in 1775. She got married to Zheng Yi, her husband, in 1801. And that's when she got that honorary title, you could say, or honorific name. They're both correct. Jungiso, and it just means Zheng Yi's wife. So we know that her husband became the big dog, the commander of the Confederation's large red flag fleet, when the other commander, the chief commander, the admiral, if we're going to use a military term, was killed by Vietnamese forces. So that's when Zheng Yi, her husband, became the fleet's leader. And when we last left you before the break, Tom talked about how he managed to unite 6 other pirate fleets under him, thanks in no small part to Jungiso. We use that phrase, thanks in no small part, to mean, wow, this person did a lot. This person deserves a lot of credit. So it's because of his wife that they were able to unite these 6 other pirate fleets underneath their own.
Right, so thanks in no small part. You could also say thanks in a big way, in a big part, to Jungiso. She was a competent organizer and negotiator. So if you're competent, that means you're capable, you know what you're doing, and of course the opposite is incompetent. So maybe you elected somebody to be the mayor of the city or something like that, and later on you decided this guy is useless, we should get rid of him, he is incompetent. But of course, if the mayor is doing a good job, then that person is competent. And she was competent. She was a good organizer, because you have to be organized if you're going to unite all those different fleets. And she also was a good negotiator, because the leaders of all those different fleets probably had different ideas about how to go about controlling the oceans south of China there, or around China. So she had to negotiate, well, you want this and he wants that, so can you guys compromise? And she was able to bring everybody together. Now, moving on, it says, after her husband fell overboard and died in a storm, Jungiso quickly stepped in to take over his command. So that's how he died here. He fell overboard, which means he fell off the ship. Unfortunately, that seemed to happen during a storm, maybe during a typhoon or something. And as you know, it's very difficult to swim when there's a typhoon. He probably drowned, or he was attacked by a shark or something, or maybe a UFO came down and zapped him or something like that. But in any case, he died in that storm, and Jungiso quickly stepped in to take over his command. She became the new leader.
We use that phrase, step in, when somebody who wasn't in charge originally, takes control or takes over. They're in charge. So she's already known at this point to be a capable leader, and she was highly respected by each smaller fleet's commander. Remember, her husband had managed to unite or put together a confederation of other pirate fleets, six other pirate fleets, which is amazing. So she is the commander of this pretty small confederation of pirate ships. She was highly respected, which is good news. If you're not respected, they might try to get rid of you. But underneath her direction, they really did well. It says under her, or her command, her direction, the Confederation prospered, comprising 400 ships and around 50,000 pirates at its peak. When something's at its peak, it's at its most successful point. So good for her. To prosper is something everybody wishes for their lives, especially financially. You want to succeed in material terms. Prosper doesn't refer to other types of valuable blessings you have in your life. When we use the word prosper, we're talking about to be successful in material terms financially. So she really did a great job. 400 ships, I can't imagine. And she was actually managing 50,000 pirates when they were at their peak, at their biggest point of success in their history, at least.
That's a lot of pirates there. Do your mathematics there, and you can figure out how many pirates were on each ship. Although, of course, the times probably changed, and pirates died and came. So basically, she was in command of many, many ships and thousands of pirates. And her armada dealt crushing defeats to the Guangdong provincial fleet and raided towns along the Pearl River. Now, here we've got the word armada. That just refers to a fleet, and it's a Spanish word, and of course you can use this as another word to talk about a group of ships. The Spanish Armada, for example, that fought against England a long time ago. They were defeated, by the way, in that particular ordeal, but we're not talking about that. She had, of course, a fleet, an armada, and a defeat is when somebody loses. So, of course, she fought against the Guangdong provincial fleet. The government there, they thought the pirates were causing trouble. Hey, let's go out there and fight them. And, of course, they were defeated by the pirates many times. And then the pirates also raided towns along the Pearl River. If you raid, you attack someplace, and then you steal things from those people.
Yeah, that's not a good thing, by the way.
It's not nice, yeah.
Yeah, they raid. Police also will raid. We use that verb to talk about when the cops or the FBI or whoever you've got working as a police authority, that type of group. If they raid a person's home, it means they come in pretty large numbers and they surprise you. They don't tell you they're coming in advance. It's a surprise. But here they raided towns along the Pearl River. I'm sure they took the stuff that they found. They stole from everyone they could find. Even Qing dynasty officials feared her. They were afraid of her. And what they did to kind of attack her, counterbalance her power, was to call in the Portuguese. So they called up Portuguese leaders and said, hey, we can't handle these pirates who are directed by the pirate queen. Can you do something to help us? So the Portuguese, of course, who at that time were in charge or governing Macau, they came over to help defend against Jungiso's fleets. If you defend against something, it means you're protecting something that somebody else is attacking. So we usually defend our country. We can defend members of our family. If someone's being mean or bullying someone in your family, you can defend them. If you defend against someone, that means you're actually in sort of a conflict and you're going face to face and you're one of you wants to win. But the Portuguese, they tried to help, but Jungiso was just too formidable. If you're formidable, you have a lot of power. You're somebody that is taken very seriously because you scare people. I think you could say that you just scare people. Sometimes bosses can be very formidable. Maybe you're afraid to make your boss angry because he has a temper or she has a temper. Formidable can also be pronounced as formidable. I like to say formidable, but formidable is also correct with the zhongyin. The strong syllable is on the first syllable.
So formidable though she was, or even though she was quite formidable, still she couldn't rule the high seas forever.
No.
So she was still really strong, but of course, all good things come to an end. As the Confederation's opponents cut off pirate supply lines, Jungiso's fleets began to fight each other. So, of course, you know, when somebody's big and powerful, lots of smaller groups know who to attack, and they start doing things to the big boy there, the big brother, and they try to attack him, and eventually they cut off their supply lines so the pirates couldn't get food and water and fuel and stuff like that.
That's a great way to win a war.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to cut off their supply lines. So, of course, Jungiso's fleets began to fight amongst themselves. They fought each other because, hey, they didn't have all these supplies. And when that happens, people will fight each other, just like in the future when there are food shortages, for example. Hey, we think all the people here in Taiwan are nice and friendly to each other, but hey, if there's no food going around, people will fight each other for sure. That will happen anywhere, actually. So that's what happened here. The pirates started to fight each other, and that means the end of the pirate fleet.
Right. So Jungiso's fleets began to fight each other because they didn't have enough supply lines. And sensing future disaster, she could see into the future and thought, this isn't going to turn out very right or turn out very well. So I'm going to see if I can maybe have a better ending to this. So she personally went to negotiate with Qing officials in 1810. Remember, she got married in 1801. So this was just 9 years of being a pirate queen, or at least, you know, working as a pirate. She succeeded in getting the entire Confederation pardoned. These guys were pirates for how many years? And because she was such a good negotiator, she got the Qing officials to say, okay, we'll let you go. And we won't even charge you with any crimes. So pretty nice ending to her pirate career. If you negotiate with somebody, you're usually going to talk with somebody who wants different things than you do. And you try to reach an agreement by compromising with each other. You say, oh, I'll give you this if you'll give me this. And by the end of the negotiation, hopefully both parties are happy. That's where this win-win comes from. This phrase of win-win in business has to do with a negotiation that ends with both sides being very satisfied.
Right, so I guess they could have gone on fighting, and she said, hey, we'll quit now and, end all the trouble if you pardon us. And they said, okay, I guess that's a good deal. So they were pardoned. And in contrast to some pirates who suffered violent deaths, Jungiso lived out the rest of her life peacefully, passing away at age 68. Which isn't too old, but I guess for a pirate, that's not too bad.
That's pretty good.
And despite being less famous today than many male buccaneers, that's another word for pirate, there's no doubt Jungiso deserves a place among history's greatest pirates. If you deserve something, you should have that thing. You have done all that is necessary, and you should get it. If you've worked hard and you've brought in lots of sales to your company, you deserve a promotion.
You can also deserve something bad, like punishment. But you've done something or shown qualities that are worthy of either a reward or punishment. Yeah, she does deserve a place among history's greatest pirates. She was pretty successful for quite a few years and was the authority over a lot of different pirates. We hope you enjoyed this People Unit today, and we hope to see you again soon. For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom. Goodbye.
Bye.